Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to see a news article related to external debt. The article is from the Hindu paper dated on July 1st, 2020. Before looking into different elements given the news article, let me brush up some basics related to the borrowings by the government. Why we need to have a separate discussion related to the borrowings? Because the borrowings remains a major part in the revenue mobilization by the government to meet the huge development needs of the country. Based on the spending target and the resource mobilization from the tax and the non-tax receipts, the government announces its borrowing program for that particular fiscal year in the budget session. Government will undertake a borrowings on the security of Consolidated Fund of India and the repayable out of it. This Consolidated Fund of India is defined in the Indian Constitution. It is mentioned in the Article 266(1) of the Constitution. According to it, all the revenues received by the government, it may be a tax revenue, non-tax revenue, or it may be a loan raised by the government, will be held in this fund. In the same way, all the expenses incurred by the government, including a repayment of debt, loan given to the state government, is spent from this fund. The term public debt means total liabilities by the government that have to be paid from the Consolidated Fund of India. Borrowing is done from the internal sources and also external sources. If the borrowing is done within the country, that is internal sources, it is called as internal debt. If the borrowing is done from outside the country or the external sources, it is called as external debt. If we look into the ways of internal borrowings, it is done in two ways. They are marketable securities and non-marketable securities. Marketable securities are government securities and the bills issued by the government. By issuing these securities, government will borrow from the market. Non-marketable securities includes ways and means advances from the RBI, special securities issued to the RBI and the securities against small savings fund. In the simple term, non-marketable means the securities cannot be sold to any third party. From this, you can understand that marketable securities issued by the government can be traded in the secondary market, by which it can be sold or bought by the third person. If we look into the external sources of borrowing, it is classified as a bilateral loans and multilateral loans. Bilateral loans are loans raised from the foreign government directly, whereas multilateral loans are the loans received from the multilateral agencies like IMF, World Bank, etc. Let us look into the constitutional provision regarding borrowings by central and state government. There are two articles which deals with the borrowings by the government. Article 292 states that central government can borrow either within India or outside India upon the security of Consolidated Fund of India. Borrowing limits will be fixed by the parliament. It means that there is no full discretion to the central government with regard to the borrowings. Next, Article 293 states that state government can borrow within India, not abroad, upon the security of Consolidated Fund of States. In this case also, limits will be fixed by the legislature of that state and also by the parliament. These limits on the borrowing will be fixed based on the economic growth of the country. As per the 12th Finance Commission, access to external financing is provided to the state. In that case, central government will provide a sovereign guarantee to the state government borrowings. Moving on to the news article, it is about the RBI's report on India's external debt at the end of the March 2020. As per the report, India's external debt stands at 558.5 billion US dollar. If we compare this data with the level at the end of the March 2019, there is an increase of 15.4 billion US dollar, that is 2.8%. But we cannot count this increase fully as a borrowing by the government because the borrowing is done in various currencies. So, appreciation of various currencies also contributed to the increase in the debt. These are the components of the external debt. The first one, sovereign debt, means the borrowings by the government. Mostly it will be in the long-term nature. Second one, commercial borrowings, means loan transaction by the commercial enterprises. Through this external commercial borrowings, loan will be availed by the corporate entities. Large number of Indian corporates and the PSUs have used the external commercial borrowing as a source of investment for business expansion. So the external commercial borrowing remains a major factor in the total capital flow into the country. Third one is non-resident deposit. The deposit received from the non-resident Indian comes under this head. There are three types of the NRI deposit scheme. First one is foreign currency non-resident bank. Second one is non-resident external rupee account. Third one is non-resident ordinary rupee account. Final one is short-term debt. It is of maturity less than 3 years. Among these components of external debt, RBI report states that largest component of external debts are external commercial borrowing, that is, it constitutes around 39.4%, followed by non-resident deposits and short-term trade credits. Categorization of external debt. First classification is based on the duration of the debt, that is long-term debt and short-term debt. In the cumulative external debt, long-term debt constitutes 81%, whereas short-term debt constitutes 19%. From this, you can infer that India is in the manageable position in case of external debt, because in case of short-term borrowings, there is multiple risk involved. First is, we will get only short duration to pay back the principal and the interest amount. And the next case is, if there is any sudden fall of Indian rupee and the appreciation of other currencies, then the government have to sell out more rupees to pay back their loans. So the government always ensure that the borrowing is mostly in the form of long-term nature. Next classification is based on the borrower-wise debt. They are sovereign debt and non-sovereign debt. Sovereign debt means borrowings by the government. Non-sovereign debt means borrowing by non-government entities. As per the RBI report, non-sovereign debt is more than the sovereign debt. See this marked green and red boxes. Sovereign debt as a percentage of GDP remains at 3.7% as on 2020 March. In case of non-government debt, it remains at 16.9% of GDP. And if we consider the total external debt, it remains at 20.6% of GDP. If we categorize the debt based on the denomination, US denominated debts constitute a major portion with 53.7%, followed by Indian rupee, yen and SDR, that is special drawing rights. In the examination, you may get the question from duration of the debt, components of the external debt, and the denomination of the external debt. I have covered the important aspects from the news article. Now let us look into the important term related to this concept, that is debt to GDP ratio. It is about comparing a country's public debt to its GDP. The debt to GDP ratio indicates the country's ability to pay back its debt. The investors and the creditors will look at the debt to GDP ratio to assess the government ability of financing its debt. With regard to this ratio, the encasing committee constituted for the fiscal responsibility and budget management review has recommended the total of 60% general government debt to GDP ratio. Within the 60%, the ratio to be 40% for the center and the 20% for the states respectively by 2023. Therefore, the government will keep track of public debt to understand the financial health of the country. That's it for the day. Thank you.